Greetings and salutations from central Louisiana, just a few miles west of Dry Prong. I was perusing through some magazines the other day and I come across a Birdhouse. It looks like an old jointer plane that a craftsman woodworker would use, and I said, that's interesting. But then I got to figuring, what am I going to make it out of? And I said, well, you could use western red cedar and pay an arm and a leg. But I decided, I found a little local bandsaw mill here, and I got some rough sawn cypress. And here it is. It was $2 a board foot. These are 1 by 12s by 8, and it's clear. At least on one face, it's totally clear. It's good quality, no warpage. It's air dried, so that's what I'm going to do for this project. So let's go from this, and I'll show you what I've got cut out so far. Working from these sketch plans here in the cutting list, one of the 1 by 12 by 8 boards is now these parts scattered across this cart here. And as would normally happen, as I got ready to cut this piece and finished out on the bandsaw, I snapped the bandsaw blade. How many of y'all out there normally find out when you snap a blade, it's the last one you had in the building? And that's the case, and needless to say, I went to town and couldn't find what I wanted. Went to 2 different stores and bought them up, both of them out, so I've got 2 or 3 1/4-inch bandsaw blades in reserve now, which is good. But yeah, this is all ball cypress. It's clear sawn, it's pretty stuff. I've got to cut this last piece out so the sides will be ready. Here's the sole of it. It'll flip up where you won't hardly see that knot. That'll be on the bottom. Here's the plane, the iron for the plane. I did cheat. I used this from a leftover piece of fence picket that's western red cedar. And here's the most complex piece of the plan or the design to cut. I had to glue it up from several pieces in order to get the thickness and the throat cut for it, but it goes on the plain iron like this. And if you look on the drawing here it is right here. Now here's the tote, which is sitting over on a stand over there being glued up. I got to finish cutting it out. But this, it looks like a birdhouse. You got a cavity here for them. You got a cavity here and a cavity here. But we shall see how this turns out. This is a little change in direction. I do some woodworking on occasion. I don't just play with old tractors. But it took me 8 board feet to get to this point, and I should be able to assemble the entire birdhouse from 1 by 12 by 8 foot cypress board. So let us see. As we slowly move on, working on the sole of the bottom of this piece, you can see I've got the tote fastened to its plate, which will go on this piece. The sole will go underneath here, front and back, so still working. As I was saying before my camera so rudely died on me, this is a plan from Popular Woodworking by Schwarz. He saw it in a place in Maine and decided he needed to have one. My only issue I've had is that he used big box lumber, big box store lumber, where it's all totally uniform. And I use 7/8 inch rough sawn, cypress. Yes, I do have a planer. Yes, I could have taken time and sized it all, and if I do another one, I will do that. But for this one, the first one to come out of the factory, you might say, it is not bad. I've had to do some adjustment on the dividers. This one I had to adjust, and this one I'm going to have to adjust to get it to drop in the proper place. But as far as birds, this is the only spot that I know is going to be big enough for the birds to come into. The rest of the cavities are either wide open or not really big enough for a bird to nest in. But we shall finish this up. The other side I will put on with stainless steel screws so it can be taken off if should a bird ever decide to nest in it and clean it out. It will be hung using a French cleat on the back to hang on the wall, but it's coming together pretty good. The biggest challenge is getting all the proper pieces cut out to their proper lengths. That and the fact that Christopher failed to tell us what the dimension was from this point right here to the nose out here. I had to guesstimate that. Looks like I got somewhat close. A few more minor adjustments and it'll be assembled. As far as cutting the holes for the birdhouse, as I said before, I believe this is the only cavity that will be feasible to have a birdhouse in. The rest of them are too small. Although you might be able to put one into this cavity and they work their way back up into here, but say this one over here is just too small to be a birdhouse. It's just, I think Mr. Christopher Schwarz kind of messed up on that one. I got to do some adjustment on the plane iron and get that ready to go back in. It'll give me a few minutes to do that, and then I'll probably rough assemble the other side, and then later on I'll put stainless steel screws in there so I can take it off to clean it out. But it is pretty well done with the exception of using some mushroom colored wood stain on it, or mushroom colored, what is the name of it? It's what you put on siding on the side of the house. It's a stain, it's a water-based stain, but it will make it look more vintage and antique. But that is where I'm at now, so. Okay, there it is. It's about 36 inches long, and the tote's out of 2 thicknesses glued together with Gorilla Glue. I used the finishing head screws to fasten it together. If I decide to make a birdhouse in one end of it, I will probably go back and replace the finishing head screws with stainless screws so I can back them out. But these finishing head screws come out pretty easy too. They hold real well, but they do come out when you need them to. Could possibly picked a better piece for the iron, but it was what I had. Again, Mr. Schwarz did not give us a good enough measurement right in here so we'd know where to bring his curve up to. So I'm about an inch off of where it should have been. But you know, if you stand back and look at it, it looks like a wood plane, and it's going to hang very nicely above the door here on my shop. And that is it for this particular videos.